everyone, and welcome to our today's session. We are very excited to have so many of you guys always here. I'm always saying that there are so many of you because we really appreciate the numbers that we have for every session. So, happy Monday. We start this week with another interesting webinar, and I'm so happy that there have been so many of you that have been interested about this topic. And this is going to be presented by me. Maybe you are already so tired because I'm moderating every session, but I'm gonna try to be as explicit as possible and as short as possible, so we can answer your question, because there are so many of them that you guys have addressed in advance, and I'm more than sure that there are gonna be more of them that you're gonna ask in the chat. I will just want to start saying that Education USA Virtual is here helping you and assisting you with any assistance you need for your applications for studies in the US. You know that we have advisors in every country in this world, and they can basically assist you during your application process or your research process. And yes, if you are now looking for help, or if you're now preparing your application, you should know that our advisors are here to help, and everything is for free. You don't need to pay anything. So yes, use this opportunity. I'm more than sure that you will succeed, because this is a long path. And as I already mentioned, I'm going to be the presenter of today's session. And today's topic is going to be dedicated to understanding the U.S. undergraduate admission process. As I've already mentioned in the previous webinars, September is going to be dedicated to undergraduate students, and October is going to be dedicated to graduate students. And we decided somehow to highlight the work of our advisors in the region. So every webinar will be presented and you will get to know an advisor from every country that we are covering. And our next webinar is this Wednesday, by the way, with my colleague Nilufar from Tajikistan. So scan the QR code that you have now on your screen and subscribe for that event. Ask your question in advance. Okay, so let's just move to our topic for today. I would highly appreciate if you can submit your questions in the chat, because we will answer them after I finish with the presentation. We will also answer the questions that you have addressed in advance. We are never forgetting about those. Some of them might be repeating themselves, but we're going to try to compile everything, so we save time. Okay, so when you would think about applying for studies in the US, and specifically for your undergraduate degree, we are always saying our students when they would come for a consultation that there are 5 steps that they should follow. And you can now see them on your screen. So the first one is to research your options. So this should not happen actually in the year when you would want to do the application. So for instance, if you are now in your 11th grade, you shouldn't do that now. You should take care about this step at least 1 year or 1.5 years before that. So you should learn then about the variety of options that are available and how to identify an institution that best fits your need. And by the way, for the presentation that my colleague is gonna do this Wednesday, we are gonna focus on the best fit term. Then the second step that you would also have to follow or to consider is to finance your studies. This is basically one of the most important steps that the students would have to consider, because it worries them a lot. The cost of studies in the US is very high. So in case if they need funding, they need to explore the options or check out the university financial aid opportunity list. The third step that they should do is actually to complete the application. So the application, we will go actually on every of this step. I mean, not in a lot of details, but when you would have to consider the application itself, then you would definitely need to understand how is this application made. So you should plan ahead and know the documents and requirements to apply for your program. Of course, then the first step after you've been accepted to an university in the US, you would have to apply for your student visa, because that before applying for your student visa, you would need your I-20 form, and that means that you have been already accepted. And the last step, which is one of the most pleasant, I guess, is to prepare for your departure. Okay. So we move to the next slide, and I just want to give a brief overview of the system of the U.S. higher education, and specifically for those who are applying for their bachelor degree, they should know that they can start. I mean, you can definitely start with your high school, but taking in the U.S. But if you are applying as an international student that is finishing his 11th or 12th degree, 11th or 12th grade in his country, you have the option to apply to a community college. We had a bunch of webinars on the topic of community colleges, and we're going to do more of them. So the community college system offers you the possibility to have a 2 years studies, plus you can take also the rest of 2 years, you can finish them at a regular college or university. So they have the 2+2 system. Then you can apply instantly to a college and a university that would last for 4 years. Then you can continue with your work or with your PhD or master. And then, yes, if you are applying for a medical school or law school, that can be extended for more years. Okay, so moving to the next slide, and considering the fact that you are now analyzing the option of applying for studies in the US, what you need to do or what you need to think about when you are choosing a program or a university specifically for your bachelor program. So you should know about the fact that you are applying at least 10, 15 universities. You need to submit the documents in the fall, winter of your 11th grade. You need time to prepare for the tests, for TOEFL, SAT, ACT if it's needed. The university requirements may vary. There are strict deadlines, early applications until November. When it's the regular application. There are a huge selections of colleges and universities, and there are different universities with unique characteristics. There are important selection criteria for you, and you also need to consider the concept of best fit, about which we're going to talk with my colleague Nilufar this Wednesday. So going over those important factors that you need to consider when choosing the university for your bachelor program, I would advise you to split them into big sections. So considering your priorities and considering the characteristics of the university. So basically, when you will make up the list of the universities or the list of the regions that you want, where you want to go or where you want to do your studies, you would have to set your priorities, and you would have to consider the characteristics of the universities. And when you consider your priorities, that means that you consider the academic interest, the learning environment, the living environment, the student life, the values, and the financial considerations. And when you consider the university, of course, the educational programs, the class size, the faculty, the region, the city, size, climate, the leadership opportunities. If there are some student clubs and events that you would like to join where you are doing them now at home and you want to continue doing them at your campus, the research and teaching that the university is providing, the types and kinds of the university that you are applying to, and of course the cost, the scholarships, and the financial aid that the university is offering. And when we are talking about the financial aid, you should know that there are 3 options to finance your studies in the US. That can come from your own resources, your family money. Then the university, they offer merit, need-based, sports, special interest, and diversity scholarships. And there might be also external scholarships, like for businesses, and some of them can come from sponsors. There are also loans, but we are not actually encouraging our students to take loans, especially if they would apply for their bachelor degree, because this is also a risky step that you need to consider. Then for the cost of studies, here is a slide that would kind of approximately describe the costs that you would have to support when applying for a school in the US. So some of them might be covered by the universities from different scholarships that they might offer. Some of them might be covered by you. Some universities, when you would apply for studies, they would offer you substantial scholarships, and the rest of the amount would need to be covered by you. So this is also an important step, because when students would get their offers after the admission, it's going to be very challenging for them to choose. They might have different offers, and they might have to also cover a big amount of the rest for the money, or for the tuition, or for the living, for the books, for the housing. So this is also an important step that you need to consider, and you need the advice of your Education USA advisor in this case. Because yes, some students are very, very optimistic and enthusiastic when they would get the offer, but they should be also very conscious that when you have to pay like $30,000 more per year, that's a big risk, and you need to assume that. Okay, so here we have, and we are describing here basically what most of the universities would require you to have when you apply for studies for your undergraduate degree. So for bachelor program, you need your application form, you need the academic transcripts, your high school diploma, the letters of recommendation, the standardized in English language proficiency test scores, the admission essay, your athletic portfolio, if that's an athletic school that you're applying to, creative portfolio if that's an art school, resume or CV if that's needed, financial forms, of course, and additional materials that they might also need from you, depending on the program that you are applying for. And also for bachelor programs, there are different platforms that you can use to apply. So one of the most popular one is Common App. And we have a webinar that we have conducted in May with someone that was representing Common App. So you can go on our YouTube channel and you can find that webinar. You will see their information about all the details, most recent details that you need to know when applying through Common App. So Common App is kind of one of the most popular. It's used by more than 1,000 colleges and universities in the US. There is also the Coalition App. That's a smaller group of institutions. The UC application, that's specifically for Universities of California campuses. And there are also platforms that are used by individual schools. For example, some private schools, they would use their own applications, and that can also be found on their website. Their admission commission can give you more information on how to find that platform and how to apply for it. They have a bunch of instructions that you will use too. Okay, so we already said that part of the application itself, are the standardized tests and the English proficiency tests. And when we say English proficiency tests, those are TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo English tests. We also have more of them. We have V-test. I mean, there are Cambridge tests. There are more of them that you can get, but you need to check basically with the university itself if they are accepting them. But kind of ones are TOEFL, IELTS, and Duolingo. So those are English proficiency exams. They usually required for international students applying to US colleges and universities, and they measure the ability to use and understand English in an academic setting. We already discussed about TOEFL, IELTS, and Duolingo. We had webinars during the summer with their representatives. So I am encouraging you to go on our YouTube page and see what are the most recent updates on every test. And some of those tests even offered us some discounts that you can use when taking this English proficiency test. Then SAT, that's an optional test, even though a lot of universities and colleges are going back to making it mandatory, because this is not only easy or a very good benefit to get a scholarship, but also a very good overview, or it gives a very good understanding to the admission commission how well prepared are you for your bachelor degree. So SAT, it's a general entrance exam for undergraduate studies. It's needed for nearly every program except some specialized ones. And it assesses reading, writing, and math skills. Then we also have ACT. That's also a standardized test. It's an alternative to the SAT for undergraduate admission, and it also assesses your reading, writing, math, and science skills. So depending on the program that you are applying, you will want to know from your admission commission or from the Office of Applications which of this test can increase the chances or can help you with your application, where it's also required. Then you also need to consider the application deadlines in the USA. And we start with the regular decision. So most regular decision deadlines fall in January, likely receive decision by April. Then we have the early action that usually falls at the beginning of November. You receive the decision by mid-December. Then the early decision that often falls in early November. However, this is a binding decision. Students who apply early decision agree to attend the college if admitted and offered a satisfactory financial aid package. So that's a vice versa of early action, where you can refuse the offer. For early decision, you need to agree to attend the college. So this is also a very important step when you would do your application, because you would need to choose in case if you're going to get the offer. I mean, not choose, but sometimes not choose for early decision. You cannot refuse it. Then you have the rolling admission. So you can evaluate the applications as they come in and usually notify applicants of admission decisions within a few weeks of receiving all the required documents. And then we also have transfer admissions that can vary. So it varies by institution, but typically falls in the spring. Okay. Then we move to the student visa. So after you get your admission, I already said that you need your I-20 form and you are already ready to apply for your visa. You should refer to the consulate in your country, and you would find the information on their website. The requirement for the visa process may vary depending on your place of residence and citizenship. So it is recommended to explore information about this step after getting admitted to a U.S. university, or discuss with advisors where to find relevant information after being accepted into a U.S. institution. And yes, you already can prepare for your departure if you have been accepted. So if you successfully navigate through the previous steps and reach the stage of preparing for departure, we will share with you essential information required for effective packing, traveling to the campus, and for both academic and everyday life. We have a PDO on our YouTube page where we explored every important factor that you need to consider when you prepare for your departure, because that's a very, very detailed process, and you need to consider it also very seriously. So yeah, I highly recommend you to go on our YouTube page and see there what are some details to be considered, and you might have skipped already. Okay. So I'm done with my presentation. I want to focus on the questions because I see some of them in the chat, and we also, as I already said, received a lot of them before the start of this webinar. And I will put them on the screen and I will answer them myself. Usually I have here a speaker or someone that would co-host the session with me, but today I'm going to do that myself. So yes, submit your questions, and I will start with those that we received in advance. I will put them on the screen so you guys will also be able to see them. So one of the first question was, do test scores matter a lot? I cannot say no. Of course, it matters. And of course, it increases the chances of your application. And we always say that US universities are doing, or admission commissions, they are doing a holistic admission. So they are focusing not only on your test scores, they are focusing also on your supplemental essay, or on your portfolio, or on, I don't know, maybe your other documents that you have submitted to the application itself. Extracurricular activities can also be important to them. And it doesn't mean that your grades and test scores are the ones who are making that application, but they can also level up the chances for you to get a scholarship or to be admitted to that specific university. Okay, the next question was how to find the best fit. We're going to talk about that this Wednesday with my colleague Nilufar from Tajikistan, so I highly encourage you to attend that webinar. And there is going to be a presentation, and we will stop on every step that you need to consider when researching the best fit university. The next question was from someone from Azerbaijan. I study in automation engineer at Baku Higher Oil School. I would like to ask about programs for undergraduate students. So how can I study in US? How can I apply the university, and so on? So I think at this moment, it's much better to address to your Education USA advisor. At this moment, for our students from Azerbaijan, we have my colleague from regional team, Oksana Husakova, that can help you. I will submit later her email in the chat, so you will be able to email her and get a consultation if needed. But at this moment, what I can say is that depending on the university, if you already have started to research, you already can see if there are some chances for you to transfer at this stage. Otherwise, you can finish with your school there in Azerbaijan, and you can apply as a regular student, but you have different options. So I think it's better to discuss with your Education USA advisor in order to understand your case better. Then the next question was, is it a good idea not to prepare and not to take SAT with a 4.0 GPA and focus on other parts of application instead? I would say no. You need to focus on everything. It doesn't mean that the application needs to be perfect, but somehow, yes, it needs to be perfect. So you need to give your best. SAT, I already said, it was optional, but for some universities and colleges, it becomes not optional from this year. So they already saw that the optional policy for some of them was not working that well, and they've kind of decided to get back to it. And we see that for them it's very important because they see already the skills of the student according to those four sections that are covering SAT. So I would say it's good to focus both on SAT and both on your GPA. Because even though that there is a holistic admission, I guess it would be very important and very crucial to have all of them covered up. But depending on the major, let's say if you're applying for an art school and you have a better, I don't know, a portfolio for your art school that stands out, maybe in that case, your GPA and your SAT wouldn't mean that much. And your talent itself would mean in that case. But for a student who would apply for economics, for business, or I don't know, engineering or something like that, I think it's crucial to take SAT and to have a good GPA. So yes, I don't know, maybe you have other parts of application. It's also interesting to know, what do you mean by that? Do you mean extracurricular activities or something else? So yes, refer to your Education USA advisor, and I'm more than sure that they can give you more information depending on your case. Hope I answered your question. Then the next one, what timeline should I follow while building my application? Specifically, what should I be doing in September, October, November, and December? So depending on the year when that you are studying now. For example, if you are now in your 11th grade, you already need to prepare or to wrap up with your application, because if you want to apply for early admission or early action, that means that you need to be ready in October. So yes, here I would need more information on what is your status currently. I would say for students, we recommend to start preparing 1.5 years in advance, depending on their English level. So if you need maybe some more preparation for your English level, you need some lessons, or you need some courses for your SAT, TOEFL, or IELTS, then yes, of course, you need to prepare in advance. Also, maybe you need time for extracurricular activities, because those cannot be done in 1 month. And for the extracurricular activities, I'm always saying it's not the quantity, but it's the quality. So you don't need to do 20 extracurricular activities. It needs to be like 2, 3, 4 of them, but good. So you dedicate time, you dedicate passion, you are really enthusiastic about what you're doing. Okay, the next question, and I think we had that for the previous webinar. So what specific advice would you give to students from Turkmenistan to make their US college application stronger? So I think this is not just an advice that I would give only to Turkmenistan students. We are here all international students. So this advice would be eligible for everyone that is an international student and doing his or her applications for studying in the US. So making it stronger, it depends on a lot of factors. It depends specifically, I would say, on the major that you are choosing. Depends also on the university you are choosing. How competitive is it? How competitive is the major that you are applying to? So there are a bunch of things to consider. And to make it stronger, that means to make it also to consider all the parts of your application. So someone was asking previously if he or she can focus only on his extracurricular activities and not on the GPA and test scores. That, I think that's not correct. I think you should focus on everything if you want to succeed, if you want to get your scholarship, if you want to get into the university or the college that you are dreaming of. So yes, you need to practically excel at everything, I guess. The next question, I would like to understand how to apply for external financial aid and how it is linked to the university application itself. Basically, when the students are browsing or they are researching the options for their financial aid, they would go to the university's website. And if they want more information about the scholarships, by the way, on our Education USA official website, you can also find some scholarships that are available for international students. So you can also use that option. There are a bunch of other external financial aid options for students. And also universities have them. So they have different scholarships like president scholarships or some other ones or grants that they are offering to students and that are possible to be renewed every year. But about that, you will find out only if you'll do your research. So if you'll research university's website, you will for sure know what are the options they can give. The next question was how to choose right college in molecular biology bachelor in the US. And we have more questions, by the way, about medical schools. I would say it in general, and I'll try to answer for all the questions that have been addressed and have been referred to medical schools in general. By the way, in November we are planning to also have having a series of webinars that are going to be dedicated to different majors, including medical schools. And we have some of them already on our YouTube channel, so you can also see those. But for those who are considering studies in medical science in the US, you need to know that you will not start instantly studying at a medical school. You will need to study a general a general major, such as chemistry, such as biology, or physics, for example, that is gonna be related to medicine. So yes, this is kind of the first step. Then you would have to take, you would need to take the MD SAT. This is also a test that is required for the students who are applying to medical schools, and that also rate their preparation for getting into a medical school afterwards. So this is a long way, and you need to be conscious about the fact that this also costs a lot of money. And for every step that you would take when applying for your studies for a medical school in the US, I think it's better to address to your Education USA advisor at this moment. They will also give you a lot of details on how the application is made, on what you need to consider. So yes, in this case, for sure, you need to start earlier, and you need to have also a background somehow in medical school for your medical science. So yes, referring to your Education USA advisor, I think it's going to be one of the most important things at this moment. The next question, how to find information about university. I would say that this might be possible if you would access their website. So go on their website and you'll find a bunch of information there. Then the next question was, as I've said, about medical schools. Again, can you please provide more details on how to apply to bachelor's degree to medical university, how I can prepare? So yes, I tried to answer that question also in the previous one. You can also access the webinar that we have available on our YouTube page, but we will have more of them. And at this time, at this stage, you can also refer to your Education USA advisor for more details, because indeed, applying for a medical school, it takes even more time and even more patience and even more money than applying to a regular school for your bachelor degree. Okay, the next one. Can I apply to get easy into major and change my major while I'm in my first year? Yes, that's possible. There is this system when you can apply for a major where you can choose double major, you can choose a minor and you can choose a major, and you can switch them, or you can, maybe if you change your mind and if you took your time to think about another major that interests you, you can do that in your first 2 years. There are schools that are allowing that. But yes, you need to check if that specific school that you want to get into allows this. Okay, then the last two questions that we got in advance: is foundation necessary for bachelor's degree in USA? Of course, yes. So if you have a good foundation, if you had a good English level, if you have a good preparation, extracurricular activity, a bunch of other activities that can be referred to your application, to the application itself, then of course it will level up the chances for you to be accepted and to also get the scholarship, because mostly all of our international students, they would want a scholarship. So this is very competitive, and there is a lot of work that goes deep into that, and it goes earlier than the 11th grade. Okay, best extracurricular tips for getting into a top university with financial fee covered. That is a general question. I think here there are a lot of details that we would like to know. And first of all, we would like to know the student. So I think you should go to your Education USA advisor, and depending on your interest, depending on the major that you want, they would for sure advise you what examples of extracurriculars can be interesting to those universities that you are already thinking you want to apply, or maybe giving you some tips into how to get this financial fee covered. But about the financial fee, I already said, because this is competitive, you will need to do a good preparation, and you will need to consider all the aspects that are related to your application, including the test scores, including the grades, including the GPA, extracurricular activities, basically everything. So yes, everything almost needs to be perfect. Okay, I moved then to the questions that we have in the chat, and I see that we have a bunch of them. Okay, first one is from Ali. Hello, are admissions officers from our region? Thanks. Do you mean that they are international admission officers, or what? What is exactly the question? Because if you mean that, of course, there might be admission officers from different countries, but yes, it shouldn't be somehow related to their decision. They would have some rules, some guidelines that they would need to follow. So yes, it doesn't really depend where they are from, I guess. The next question from Breakfast: how did the international admission situation change regarding to the last year? So we already had webinars, I would say, with a lot of representatives from the admission commissions from universities in the U.S. I wouldn't say that I can notice some changes. And we cannot really compare that to the last year. Yes, so indeed, we have some changes in the number of international students that are acquiring at this moment studies in the US, but this is not definitely related to the admission commission situation or something like that. So we cannot say that this is depending on that. Okay, the next question also from Rec. Do you have any statistics how many Tajikistan students study in US for BA? So this is an information actually you can get on the internet, but you can also refer to my colleague Nilufar, by the way, with whom we'll have a webinar on Wednesday, and she might have this information available and she would offer that to you. She can give you a statistic of that. And if you also want to get if you also want to know more alumni, maybe that are currently studying in the US and are from Tajikistan, I think also Nilufar can refer you to them. Okay. Also, Rec asked, which documents should we translate and certify by notary? So this is a part of your application form. When you would be at that stage, I think it's also good to refer to your advisor, and they would certainly tell you what are the documents that you need to notarize. Yes, and if you need more assistance, yes, let us know. We also have an email address on our website, and if you don't find the answer, you can also ask us. Again, there is also the admission commission and the international office that they can also tell you exactly what are the documents they need to have translated and certified by notary. Usually that's the diploma, those are the transcripts, but maybe there are some additional of them because every year that might change. So yes, it's better to ask first the university, and if then you have additional question, you can ask your advisor. The other question from Greg: should we certify our transcript even if our school provides it in English language? That's a good question. It can be also checked with the university. Maybe they will not require that, but we cannot say that for sure. Maybe they will not allow it and they will want it to be certified. The last one from Rec, I see he addressed a lot of questions. If our school used a 5-point ranking system and this year changed to a 10-point scale, what should we send to the universities? Again, you need to check that with their admission office and ask. You would for sure need to check that with them and ask how the GPA is converted and what system they prefer. And yes, otherwise, if you have some other information or some other details that are not clarified, you can check with your advisor. Because depending on the region, that's why we have advisors in different countries. They would know all these details. The next question from Julia: for IB diploma graduate, do you still need to take English test? Usually yes, but you also need to check with the admission office. We always say that. So yes, depending on what you want to do afterwards, where you want to apply, yes, you need to check with the admission office. The next question from Adam: how important is the SAT for most university? Also, if we've done internships, does it help in my application? For sure. It depends where you have done it, for what you have done it. And SAT, yes, it is important, I would say, depending on the major, depending if you want to take a scholarship, depending on a lot of factors. I know the preparation process, and I know that taking it requires a lot of time, a lot of resources, uh, financial, both financially and both emotional. But yes, in many cases, SAT also levels up the chances. I'm always saying that this is a part of the this is a part of the application that may give them that may be important for you, and the final decision may be taken towards your SAT score. Okay, the last question from Adam. I have a friend that it's in an online school accredited in Florida, and he wants to apply for a student visa. Is it possible to do, and how would he go about it? So if he's currently in Florida, I think it's better to refer to the immigration office, because we don't really give a lot of information um, about the policy for a student visa that is in another country than in the ones that we are covering in the region. He can also refer to the consular section from the country he's from. Okay, so I think I'm done basically with all the questions that we have got in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for addressing them, and thank you so much for being so active during our today's webinar. I see one more, I think, from Adam. That's the last one. Can I start applying to university without taking my SAT? Of course, yes. I mean, it's your choice if you want to apply for your SAT or not. And checking with the university if they have the SAT optional or if they have the SAT required, that's one of the most important things. So you go to the university website, you check the minimum requirements that they have, and see if they need it or not. Because if it's optional, then yes, of course, it doesn't make sense. You can also submit it later, by the way. So if, for instance, you're going to take it next month, or you're going to take it in November, you can also submit it then. So you can add it to the application. You can also add it afterwards, but somehow the decision is going to be made. You're going to somehow apply before January. So that means that you would have to it's going to be better to have all the results for all the tests. I haven't taken my SAT, and I've been told that I need to start applying to university before the end of October. Yes, basically, yes. If you still have time to take SAT and to jump in the last train, yes, you can try that. But if you're not prepared for it, and if you feel that you're not gonna take the good score, and you can check that taking a sample, then yes, maybe it's not a good idea to take it at all. So yes, check it first. What is the level that you have now? What are the scores that you might have to take now? Okay, some more questions here. What mistakes make even brilliant students look careless in their application? Oh my God, that's a complicated question. I wouldn't say that there are some mistakes that would make brilliant students look careless in their application, but I guess the personal statement. So here comes I guess one of the most important part of the application is personal statement, because a lot of students using AI now and thinking that there might be a lot of cliche when they would have to do their personal statement. They would be worried about their story. They would be worried about how well this is written, and maybe this would not reflect the person itself and his or her story. So I think looking careless, that can be reflected only in the personal statement. Otherwise, a brilliant student, he or she would take care about all other details, like having a perfect application with all the documents well done and everything. So yes, I don't see what can be the careless factor that would determine a brilliant student to be. The next question from Malak: how to know if my CV is good to my study? I think that's the status of yours now when you have to refer to your Education USA advisor. So depending on the major that you want to apply for, or if you have a list of the university that you want to apply for, they would give you an advice on how good is your CV or your resume or your application. Yeah, and I see that you are writing that you will study dentistry. So yes, that's a long way to go, and it's very, very complicated. Good luck with that. But yes, I'm already saying that it's better to refer to the Education US advisor, because that person is gonna somehow criticize you, but in the same time they would encourage you and they would give you the right sources where to and how to consider, what to consider when doing your application. Um, oh, okay. I see more question here. I'm excited that there are many of them. So how can I take my SAT in November if I cannot take it in October? Yes. You can definitely write to College Board and ask them, but first rate your SAT and see what's the score that you get now. Maybe you don't even need to take it, or maybe you already have a very good score. And if you don't see a slot that is soon happening in their calendar, then you can take it later. You can also check that with the university. You can tell them that you will get the score a bit later. But I would say that taking it now without knowing that this is going to be a good score, it's a risk. So yes, rate your score at this moment better. I think that's my best advice to you. What was the most time consuming part of your application? I think for everyone, the most time consuming part of the application would be the personal statement. So yes, because you have to write a bunch of essays, and sometimes they should be different. You should consider that you would send them to different universities. So here is a lot of time, a lot of effort. Sometimes you need to write 30 essays. So I think that's the most time consuming. But it doesn't mean that this is not one of the most pleasant ones, because you are writing about your experience. You are writing about what you have got, what have you got after that experience. And in the previous webinar that we had last week with my colleague Yulia from Ukraine, we already discussed about the personal statement and how to stand out having one of the best ones. So yeah, my advice is to rewatch that webinar, to rewatch that recording on our YouTube channel. You will see there are a lot of tips that will help you. Okay, what other questions are here? One from Mr. Joe. Who needs ChatGPT when we have you? Yes, we are doing our best, and trust me, our advisor also wants to do their best. Okay. I want the student visa, and can I apply for an online school in USA? There are possibilities to do that. About the student visa, I think at this moment, you don't have to think about that. You need to think about the acceptance itself and about the admission process. So yes, you need to do more research on that. And depending on the major, some schools would allow online schools, some not. So yes, it depends. Okay. The next one, and I see more of them. Adam, can I only take the SAT once? You can take it more times, but it depends on the status that you have. So if you're now in the process of doing your application, it's kind of crucial to have everything settled. If you want to take a gap year and if you want to try once more next fall, for example, yes, you can apply for SAT more times. Yes, you can take it not only once. It's fine to ask them about CV and other thing important in personal statement, how to get their email. Whose email you mean specifically, Malak? Do you mean university's email or advisor's email? Then what's one part of the process that applicants usually overthink and one they don't think about enough? That's a good one. I think personal statement again. Sometimes they would overthink it, and they would not make it. very aligned to their expectations. And sometimes they don't even think about that. And it is not, when you would see the application itself, I mean, the admission commission, and then when they would relate it to the extracurricular activities, to the grades of the student, to the GPA, to the SAT or ACT scores, that would also not make sense. So when you do your personal statement, and we discussed that with Yulia last time, you need to consider a bunch of factors. So yes, please watch that recording. Maybe that would also help you. Okay, the next question: how do admissions officers handle disagreement on an applicant? What happens if one officer strongly supports an applicant but another doesn't? That's a good one. I think that needs to be asked directly to them, and I don't think they would answer it so directly. You know that there is not just one admission officer that is reviewing the application. There are many of them, and from this year, some of the universities have introduced the plagiarism system through also AI. So somehow there are going to be two admission officers and also a proctor that would review your application or your personal statement, for example. So yeah, I don't think they would be able to argue that with AI. It depends, I guess, on them. I would not be fair responding to this question, so we need to ask an admission officer directly in this case. But somehow I guess they would get to an agreement, because they would ask for additional information, the student. So in case if they would not feel confident about the application of a student or their personal statement, they would ask for additional information for sure. Okay. I'm in the 11th grade. I haven't started my application. I haven't taken the SATs, but I'm hoping to start uni by the next academic year. Good luck. Refer to your Education USA advisor. So yes, I hope that you will succeed. And maybe the SAT, as I already said, it's not the point where your application is going to be decided to be accepted or not. So the last question from Malak, and I think we're wrapping up about after that. I'm asking about the admission where the responsible one could help. So this you can find on the university's website. There are different offices. There is also the international office, the financial office, the admission office. So you can find their email on the university website. Okay. Very active. Thank you so much, guys, for staying so active during this session. I really loved your question, and I encourage you to join us this Wednesday to continue with them. So related to the topic that we're going to have this Wednesday, best fit, you can also submit your questions. Maybe there have been more of them that I haven't answered today. So submit them for next session, and we're going to answer together with Nulifar. You'll get the opinion of two advisors, and I think that's even much interesting. Thank you once more. I wish you a great evening, and yes, hope you enjoyed our today's webinar, and I hope to see you at the next one. Have a great evening. Bye.